Hey, what is going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and today we are going to be ranking every single Call of Duty Zombies game from worst to best. So this is not ranking all the maps like we did before. We've already done that. We will be doing that again after Black Ops 4's Zombies life cycle is done, because my opinions have changed greatly for my favorite maps. But go check out that video if you haven't already. But this is ranking every Zombies game. So taking the mode from that specific game and ranking it as a whole. That includes the mechanics, the story, the maps themselves, the level up system, the overall just enjoyability of that game. There's 8 total Zombies games. I'm not including Extinction, and I'm only counting the Zombies portion of that Call of Duty game. I'm not counting multiplayer or campaign. This is just ranking the Zombies portion of that game. Anything Zombies related in that game, really. So that could include Dead Ops Arcade, or even Nightmare Mode in Black Ops 3. So let's get into this. There's 8 total of them. That includes World at War, the 4 Black Ops titles, Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, and World War II. Coming in at the number 8 spot, my least favorite Zombies game, it's got to be Advanced Warfare's EXO Zombies. EXO Zombies is, I'd say, pretty much all around the worst in most people's opinions. If I ask anybody what's your least favorite Call of Duty Zombies game, the majority of them say Advanced Warfare's EXO Zombies. There's a lot of things wrong with it. For all of them, I'm going to go through some pros and cons, though. Of course, there are some pros with Advanced Warfare's EXO Zombies. First of all, it was the first non-Treyarch Zombies mode. It was the first company to actually try the Treyarch formula and at least throw an attempt at it. And they did a decent attempt, I would say, but it just fell really short in most aspects. Carrier was a solid map. By the way, for the gameplay, you're going to be seeing the background for all the games. I just take whatever my favorite map is in that game and be showing you gameplay. So you'll know whatever my favorite map is in each and every one of the Call of Duty games just by the gameplay and the background itself. The wonder weapons were really unique too. Some of them were really cool. The LZ Limbo on Carrier, as well as the Trident on Descent, really unique and awesome wonder weapons that we've never seen before in Call of Duty history. Even the Stealth Recarderizer was pretty different and unique. But then you have a lot of bad things as well. First of all, there was no map on disc, which is just kind of shitty. I mean, you don't even get to try it without buying the Season Pass or the DLC packs, which is kind of like never what you should do. I understand that they probably weren't ready to release a map on disc, but you should have at least given one of the maps away for free. You should have just had Outbreak be a free map and the other ones be part of DLC. Boring and generic map locations. They were basically all at like Atlas facilities, just a little bit different for each one. The first 2 maps were the most boring locations ever. Carrier was a little more interesting, so was Descent, but they really weren't that amazing. The gameplay was terrible. There was way too many zombies, way too many special zombies at once. It was just a shit show. You had the EMZs, which were awful to deal with. They just pissed me off. Tedious elements that just made it not enjoyable, like the survivor rounds on Infection. That was just really annoying. The story was also just kind of poop. I had no interest in the story. I don't think many other people did. So Advanced Warfare's EXO Zombies comes in the last place in the 8th spot. Coming at the number 7 spot, I've got World at War Nazi Zombies. Before you freak out, before you throw a temper tantrum, let me speak and explain myself. Yes, it is the first ever Zombies mode, so it's got to get some props there. But take off the nostalgia blindfolds for just a few seconds. Look, I played back when this was the newest game. This was my first map, was Nocturne Toten, and I loved it back then. Absolutely loved it. But compared to the experiences we got in Zombies recently, the World at War maps and the World at War game mode itself doesn't stand a chance to any of the newer things. The great things, like I said, it was a very classic experience. If you just wanted to hop in and kill zombies, that's what you had here. The horror was there, and Duriz was revolutionary as a map, one of the most revolutionary maps of all time. But it just gets really boring because the maps are so simplistic. I mean, they're really hard. You can really barely get past certain rounds back then without struggling. Some of the maps were a little easier than others, like Shinonuma was pretty easy if you got, certain strategies together. There's no major depth on the maps either. Like, there's just not a lot of stuff to do. You get to a point when you get your perks and you pack a bunch of weapons, and that's for Duriz. The other maps don't even have that. Then you're just sitting in a camping spot killing zombies for rounds upon rounds. There's nothing really to do. There's no real main Easter egg quests. There's no wonder weapons that you can go for, like in terms of some sort of a quest. No, it's just literally hop in and that's it. Story was interesting. I liked how they restarted the story. That was cool. I liked the lore behind it. That was all amazing. But it's just not enough to it. 4 simple maps, only one of them is really sort of enjoyable in my opinion. I think Shinonuma, Verrucht, and Noct, they're nostalgic, they're classic, but they're just not that amazing in any way, shape, or form. So that's why World at War Nazi Zombies comes in at the number 7 spot. Coming in at the number 6 spot, I've got World War II's Nazi Zombies. So World War II Nazi Zombies, I think, is just a lot of elements from World at War, but on steroids. It takes those simple maps and kind of adds in a bunch of cool quests and still keeps that classic horror feel that World at War had. That's why I really appreciated World War II Zombies, specifically for its insane amount of horror that the Final Reich introduced on their map. I want to put this higher, I really do, but I feel like the experience got dragged down by a few sort of things. Now, number 6 and number 5, I was really flip-flopping on them, I gotta be honest. You'll see what number 5 is, of course. But first of all, a lot of maps. You have a lot of different ways to play this game. You have the 2 maps that were on disc, including the Final Reich and Grostenhaus, which Grostenhaus is a really fun survival map. I loved how this game had survival maps, so you can play simply if you just want to hop in a survival map, or you can play the more complex Easter egg maps. You had the 3 Tortured Path survival maps, which were a ton of fun. I loved how they did that for DLC 3 rather than having just your average sort of modes. I liked how they added new modes where you can play the objective modes of those maps, but you can also play the survival mode of them. So it gave you 2 different ways to play. The level up system wasn't awful. I wasn't a big fan of the mod system and how a lot of your stuff was in a created class. Like a lot of this stuff that you would be getting while you're playing the game, you pick before the game even starts. Black Ops 4 does that too, and I'll explain that when I get to Black Ops 4. But I don't like that. I like when you hop in and you start it with a pistol and 2 grenades, and that's it. And you have to earn everything by playing the damn game. I don't like starting with stuff already and kind of choosing exactly how your game's going to be based on a created class screen. Like, I understand what they were going for. It was something different and innovative, but I feel like the fact that this game introduced it, I feel like every Zombies game going forward is going to do the same thing, and I don't want them to. I would be okay with it if it just happened here, but then Black Ops 4 followed in its footsteps, and I didn't really want it to, but, you know, it is what it is. The World War II theme obviously gives it a lot of brownie points because you look at the different Call of Duty games, a lot of the Zombies games we had have been in the futuristic time period. I mean, we had 3 past games actually, and the other 5 were futuristic. So we really haven't gotten a lot of we haven't gotten any present Zombies related games. That's why I really wanted a Modern Warfare 4 Zombies, but it doesn't sound like we're getting it. But I think the theme definitely gives it a lot of points. The gore was there. The story was kind of interesting. I was interested in the whole thing with the gods and Dr. Straub and all that stuff. It was interesting. The casual and hardcore Easter egg for the Final Reich was a really cool system. I liked how they made one of the Easter eggs really simple for anyone to do. And I think the last thing I want to mention, which is a con, is the fact that they reused the same soundtrack for every map. It's like, one thing I love about Zombies, Treyarch Zombies specifically, Infinite Warfare did this too, they have the music very different in each map, which is incredible. But World War II, it's the same music every time. It's good music. It's a good soundtrack, don't get me wrong, but it's the same music. It just makes the maps feel way too generic and not as unique compared to one another. That's the major issue I had with this game. But other than that, it's still a fantastic game in my opinion, but it's not as good as the next 5. Coming in at the number 5 spot, I've got Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies, the original Black Ops. This game took World at War's simplistic nature and built upon it in a very, very innovative way. I think this is one of the most innovative Zombies games. I feel like a lot of them are very innovative, but this one was pretty innovative in terms of adding the Easter egg quests, which is something that really is a major part of Zombies maps in the future. I don't think the Zombies maps or the Easter eggs were that good for the majority of the maps. A lot of them were just way too short and not really that fun to do either, but a few of them were really epic, especially Moon's Easter egg. The experience was classic, let's get that out of the way. That's an obvious thing. Story was amazing. I think the story was the best part of this game. Out of all the Call of Duty Zombies games, the story, in my opinion, was the best in Black Ops Zombies. It gets boring really quickly, just like World at War. I feel like a lot of the maps get really boring after a little bit. Like Kino, there's really not much to do on Kino. Even like the other map, even Ascension, Shangri-La to a point, they get boring after a while. There's not a lot to do, just like World at War. They definitely added more stuff to do compared to World at War, but it's not enough, in my opinion, to warrant one of the best zombies experiences out there. And most of the maps have a lot of tedious elements, like Ascension had the monkeys, Moon had the excavators and the annoying, jumping things. A lot of the boss zombies were just obnoxious as hell. They just had a lot of tedious elements, but then you have one of the best maps of all time in this game, which is, of course, Call of the Dead, which is obviously the game players sing in the background because it's my favorite map in this game. Black Ops Zombies did a lot for the series. A lot of people would probably put this as the number 1, but for my opinion, it comes in number 5. Coming into number 4 spot, I've got Black Ops 4 Zombies. Now, I personally think Black Ops 4 Zombies will probably be my top 1 or top 2 after it's all said and done. So after we get the final DLC, after we get maybe the season 2 of DLC, which is basically confirmed to be happening, we're going to get a whole second season of DLC content for Zombies. I think after it's all said and done, Black Ops 4 will likely be my favorite for a couple different reasons. But as it stands right now, it's not my favorite. But it's not my least favorite either. I am enjoying Black Ops 4 Zombies a lot more than the average person. Like I said, there's a lot of problems with it, but a lot of those problems are really minor, and they kind of just build up to being a major problem, which kind of holds it down. And I already made a video explaining all the bad things about this game and how they need to be improved and all that. Probably should go check that out. I'll explain it a little bit in this video. The good things: there's a lot of different ways to play, a lot of different maps, a lot of different modes, and just think about this for a second. Compared to any other Zombies game, this has the most ways to play. And people always say, ooh, Black Ops 4 has no content. That's not the problem. This game has a shitload of content. You have, right now, we're only at DLC 2, 6 maps, 3 different modes for each map. Well, we haven't got the gauntlets for the 2 DLC maps just yet, but we're gonna. So that's basically 3 modes for each map. That's already 18 different ways to play, right? Then you have custom mutations, which just allows you to completely customize the game, which has a lot of problems with custom mutations right now, but it's still there. Then you have the different difficulties, like you can play casual, you can play hardcore, you can play realistic. So there's just so many different ways to play. Rush mode and gauntlets are 2 of the funnest game modes I've ever played. I mean, I really am glad they added game modes. I mean, I didn't think they would, honestly. I thought it was going to be like Black Ops 3 all over again. It was just going to be one way to play each map, and it was going to get kind of boring. But the fact that they added all these game modes in really adds a lot of layers of enjoyment to the mode, which I'm a big fan of. The daily tier skips add a lot of replayability to the mode. The soundtrack is incredible, one of the best soundtracks we've ever had in any Call of Duty game. Some of the maps are really good, like 9, Ancient Evil are fantastic maps in my opinion. Then you get to the negatives. The create a class system takes away from the map uniqueness. The perk system I'm not a fan of. I've already mentioned this enough times. The HUD is trash. I hate the HUD. I wish they would change it. Some of the maps, Easter eggs are really badly done, like Blood of the Dead and Classified. They're just bad Easter eggs. The 2-stepper stories within the same menu. I mean, I'm not really... I like the Chaos story, but I don't like how they had to split them up like this. Why couldn't they just either end the Ether story in Black Ops 3 or continue the Easter story in this game and then wait for Chaos for the next season or something? I don't like how they kind of splitting it like this, but Black Ops 4 Zombies overall, I think after we get all the maps, and maybe they change the HUD, maybe they change the perk system, maybe they do a little bit of different things here and there through bug fixes and whatever it may be, and patches, I think it's going to be my favorite, or at least in my top 2 or 3 or something. So Black Ops 4 comes in number 4 spot. Now this one's going to be a controversial one. A lot of people disagree with me on this. A lot of people say Infinite Warfare is the worst Zombies mode. A lot of people say it's one of the worst. Infinite Warfare Zombies is fantastic, and I will live by this for my entire life I'll ever live, that this mode is amazing. First of all, the maps are so unique from one another. That's one of my favorite things for any Zombies mode, is when the maps feel very different. I don't like when maps feel the same. And all 5 of the maps, which granted there's not that many different ways to play this game. There's only 5 maps, but you can play the different, there's the boss fight mode for each map, which is cool. But you have such unique experiences. You have a theme park, you have a rave within a forest. You have New York City. You have, I think, Los Angeles beaches, right? I think it's in Los Angeles, something like that. West Coast beaches. You have a map that takes place in some space station. You have such different experiences, and that's huge for enjoyability for any zombies game. The music is incredible. I love Spaceland's 80s theme songs that they have playing throughout the games going on. Raven Redwoods has some pretty good 90s music. Shall & Shuffle has some pretty good jazz music, like from the 70s. I love how they have music constantly playing while you're playing the game. It's a really good element to the overall maps. The Easter eggs are very diverse from one another. They all feel different. You got Spaceland and Rave, which feel more like you're always in the action, you're always fighting. Shell and Shuffle is more of like a puzzle Easter egg. Attack the Radioactive Things, more like chemistry involved and all that stuff. Beast from Beyond's more like... Beast from Beyond was a weird Easter egg, to be honest. It was more like scientific control panels. I don't know. It was a weird Easter egg, but I love how they all feel so different from one another. So if you like certain Easter egg quests, you can do those, and if you like other ones, you can do other ones. The Easter egg rewards and the super Easter egg is definitely the best part, though. If it didn't have the Easter egg rewards and super Easter egg, it would probably be number 5 or a little bit lower at least. But that super Easter egg, getting you Director's Cut and the whole Mephistophelies boss fight, puts it up here because that is the coolest thing Zombies has ever done, in my opinion, or at least one of the coolest things it has ever done. Giving you Easter egg rewards for each map too, like the katana being unlocked for every game afterwards if you complete the Shell and Shuffle Easter egg, or the smiley chainsaw being unlocked for every game afterwards if you beat the Raven Redwoods Easter egg. That makes people actually want to do the Easter eggs, unlike a lot of the other Call of Duty games where they just don't give you anything. They give you maybe a calling card at most, and it's like, bro, I don't want to do this Easter egg if it's not going to give me anything good. And if you do all of them, you get Director's Cut, which makes playing zombies such a fun experience. So Infinite Warfare, incredible. There's a couple bad things, though. The mechanics are pretty clunky. The whole zombie speed and how they hit you, it feels clunky compared to a lot of other ones. The story is just not interesting at all. I had no interest in the story, but I don't really care. I think the gameplay was fun enough to the point where I didn't really need a good story. So that's why Infinite Warfare comes in at the number 3 spot. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. Number 1 and 2, I was flip-flopping between them for a long time. Number 2, I'm going to put Black Ops 2 Zombies. Black Ops 2 Zombies, you look at the maps. It has really bad maps and really good maps. You got Origins, Buried, and Mob of the Dead. 3 of some really fantastic maps. Origins and Mob of the Dead being the 2 best maps of all time, in my opinion. And Buried being within the top 10. And then you got Transit, Die Rise, Nuketown, which are probably some of the worst maps, in my opinion. So, already off the bat, you have very different map experiences. And that's one of the things I love. Because you look at Black Ops 1, you have Jimmy Zielinski maps. You look at Black Ops 3, you have Jason Blundell maps. Black Ops 2 takes the best of both worlds. You have Jimmy Zielinski maps and Blundell maps. So, if you want to play in a more Jimmy Zielinski style way, you can play those maps. If you want to play more of a Jason Blundell style way, you can play those maps. That is one of the best parts about it. Also, the fact that it added new game modes like Grief and Turn was awesome. The custom game settings where you can change the difficulty, the round starting, all that stuff. That's cool. I like that I did that. The graphics, pretty good. One of the best games in terms of graphics, in my opinion. Not the best, though. Black Ops 3 is definitely the best, and you'll be seeing that in a little bit. Because this is where competitive zombies, I feel like, started. I feel like this is where people started getting competitive with completing speedrunning and playing grief mode and just competing in zombies. Before, we never really did this, which I think that is cool. The way how all the maps feel different, they added new perks in every map, and there was always different guns in every map. That's some of the stuff I love. That's something we don't really get anymore, where every map feels so different from one another in terms of the guns, the perks, the soundtrack. The HUD even was different. They even changed the HUD for all the maps. They don't do that anymore. They just kind of leave it as is, you know? They kind of just, we're going to the same guns in every map, we're going to the same perks in every map. That's why I don't like the new perk system, because you get the same perks on every map. That's kind of just doesn't add any uniqueness to any of the maps, you know what I mean? There are some bad things, though. Like I said, there's some horrible maps as well as some really good maps. Some of the Easter eggs are really tedious. Buried is pretty tedious. Origins is a great map, but the Easter egg can be very tedious at times. Die Rise, Transit, awful Easter eggs. Just bad. The story was good though. I think the story was pretty interesting, but a lot of people didn't like the Victus crew. I didn't mind them that much, to be completely honest. They weren't horrible. But that's really it. Zombies in Black Ops 2 is pretty good overall. Not my favorite, but Origins and Mob Dead being the best 2 maps of all time really adds a lot to the mode, in my opinion. And coming in at the number 1 spot, the best, hands down, the best Zombies mode in the entirety of Call of Duty Zombies history, it's got to be Black Ops 3 Zombies. Now, I really loved Black Ops 3 in so many different ways, but there's a lot of things I didn't like about it too, and I'll obviously explain that here. First of all, a lot of maps and remakes. So you had 14 total maps in this game, which I think Black Ops 4 is going to beat that, but still a lot of different maps, a lot of different ways to play because of that. But of course, then a bad thing, there was no game modes on any of the maps. It was just one way to play, which kind of got annoying. But there's still a lot of maps, which is still fantastic in its own right. The maps themselves are incredible. You have some of the best maps of all time, like Shadows of Evil, Dreisendrach being a top 3 map in my opinion. You have Revelations, which was okay. Zetsubo was also okay. Revelations, fantastic. You brought remakes of Origins, Ascension, Kino, all these classic maps, kind of made them a little bit different in terms of graphics and all that, which was fantastic. The Easter eggs were incredible. Some of the best Easter eggs we've ever had in the entirety of Zombies. I think the Dreisendrach, Garad Krovi specifically, some of the best Easter eggs ever. Soundtrack, incredible. The Easter egg songs were incredible. Easily the best mechanics in terms of sliding, zombie speed, the zombie trainability, all that stuff. Best mechanics, best graphics out of any Call of Duty game. Best HUD, easily. The HUD was clean as hell. Dead Ops Arcade 2 was a ton of fun. You had Nightmare Mode, which I don't really play, but it was still there. It was another way to play the game, right? So it had a lot of great things to it. But then you have some bad things, which I would say the Gobblegums. I hated Gobblegums. I hated the system. I hated the fact that you can just pop a Perkaholic and have all the perks in the game. I didn't think it was like pay to win or anything, but I thought it was just not fun when people were completing these Easter eggs and having all these Gobblegums, and you were just opening up the whole map in 2 seconds. I understand you don't have to use them, but the fact that other people will use them, I'm not going to handicap myself because other people are using them. I'm not going to do that. There was no new perks other than Widow's Wine, which was kind of annoying. The maps didn't feel that different from each other in terms of guns, other than a few different guns that they added on the new maps, which I liked a lot. And like I said, no new game modes. There was just the one way to play, which kind of sucked. But overall, Black Ops 3, just as an experience, is so damn good. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my ranking. Let me know yours in the comment section below. What's your favorite Zombies game? What's your least favorite Zombies game? Rank them from 1 to 8. And let me know if you guys want some more Zombies videos in the future. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.